Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're doing well. I think just yesterday I posted a question and I was really honored that I have seen the interaction from you. Several introductions have been sent to me. And I also would like to thank you for all the confidence that you put on me to evaluate your work. This is really a privilege, and it's really a kind of responsibility that makes me a bit worried, especially if I'm going to provide my feedback concerning your work. Well, of course, as you know, once if someone is going to provide a feedback, it's always there's some kind of a preference, especially when it comes to because it's kind of subjective when it comes to this writing essays. But I try to at least to talk about the matter. But before I will go to that, I would like first to review the question. I asked the question is the 21st century learning skills require critical thinking, technological literacy, collaboration, and creativity. Okay, so we all know about the 21st century. I don't think all of you, because some of the answers were weird a bit. To what extent do these new perspectives represent a real challenge to previous theories of language learning? So let's start with the first problem that I found some of the questions that really suffer from. The problem number one, people they still mix between what we call 21st century skills and modern approaches. If we revert back to traditional approaches, we are going to find, like, for example, the grammar translation method, you find the direct method. These are what we call traditional ones. Even even we have some called even considered traditions. Now, with the new one, usually we focus on the idea of communication. So we say traditional approaches, those were very limited. They didn't yield students who can communicate properly. Then we have communicative approaches. We have all the new approaches like project-based approach, like competency-based approach. All these are under the umbrella of communicative and new approaches. But then it comes separately the 21st century. So don't mix the 21st century skills with the modern approaches. In fact, the questionnaire, if you read it, you find that is asking you whether these skills kind of put a challenge, constitute a challenge to the previous theories, as if there is a kind of competition between the two. So this is one of the problems that I found, and I'm going to tell you, we are going to review the introduction. Of course, I'm going to divide this into two videos. We have the video, this one, I'm going to evaluate, I think, 6 introductions, and I'm going to follow that, inshallah, very soon. So let's, because I do believe that a teacher should always provide what they call a very constructive evaluation or criticism. I don't want to just criticize your work. I also provided my own view on the matter. And of course, you can criticize it. You can give me your opinion about it. How can we fix it? How can we make it better? So let's start with my introduction. My introduction, of course, reflects my own thinking concerning the 21st century and my view concerning this matter as a whole. So, in theories of language teaching, this is the beginning, success has long been associated with the four skills: knowledge of the subject matter and communication competencies. So, this is first the Usually, this is the aim of language teaching theories, is first to be equipped with the skills and the knowledge of the subject matter, of course, and then, of course, we're talking about communication competencies. So by this, I have tried to cover all the aim and goals of the modern approaches. However, the latter are hardly sufficient. Now I'm trying, so I gave like an ideal situation, and now I'm trying to say, okay, there is a problem. The latter are hardly sufficient in today's world, resulting in an increasing gap between what formal education offers and the need of the labor market and society. So here, when we talk about 21st century, always there is idea of we need knowledge that we can use either to go to and find a job or to really solve real problem situation. And this is why I have put it. I will include also the references I took this because of course I have read also and a paraphrase and I have advanced my introduction. So this is the second idea that I started. So I said that okay, there is a problem with learning teaching theories. This is the problem. We have a gap. Okay, so how can we fix this? Now, 21st century skills, on the other hand, are more geared towards changing the mindset of learners, fostering collaboration, creativity, criticality, and globalization. all of which are essential for active participation in a complex, ever-evolving world. I think you can fix this. I'm not sure ever-evolving world or the way around. What I'm doing here, because one of the problems that students forget that these skills are not like something you learn. It's not like knowledge you learn. It's a way of thinking. 21st century skills are really a way of thinking, of changing your thinking. Of course, that's skills, and of course we have literacies. We talk about, for example, technology literacy, etc. But at the gist of these skills is the way of thinking. We said we change the way of thinking of learners to think at a global scale, to think of collaboration, to be creative. It's not like you teach them something to be creative. You change their way of thinking. This is always, you have to remember this. And of course, you can dig further and trying to look for the word change in the mindset of learners. You will find a lot, trust me. Okay, nevertheless, now I'm talking about the relationship between the two. And you remember there is a kind of challenge. Nevertheless, such skills should not be perceived as a complete departure from teaching theories, but rather an amendment for the inclusion of additional important literacies. So this is here to just to say how can we talk about them both. In this essay, I'm going to develop it by talking about each of these, the changing the mindset of learners, talking about collaboration, creativity, criticality. I'm going to talk about the failure, of course, that's in the beginning, the failure of teaching theories now. What is the problem? You can take real world examples and your essay will be good. And I'm going to talk about also this idea of the use of technology, digital literacy, talking about cultural awareness. All these are can be put under the last sentence in my introduction. So this is my introduction. I hope you like it. If you have any comment, please share it with me. Inshallah, and please just don't tell me just change something. Resend me the whole introduction, fixing it, making it better. Okay. As I promised, I said, well, I was really honored with your introductions, and I'm going to try to evaluate some of them. So let's start with introduction number one. I'm not going to mention names. In an era defined by globalization, okay, good. So at least you are setting the context. The rapid changes of technology has fundamentally changed the way we learn, make it more engaging. I would say it's good, but why? If you just talk about technology, it's like you have narrowed it, all the topic to technology. Maybe if I'm going to examine your work, say maybe he's just want to talk about technology. So let's continue. The promotion of deep learning became at the apex of educational aims, and transition from teacher-dominant classroom to student-centeredness is noticed. I see that the one who wrote this really has good knowledge about technology, deep learning. I do love this stuff. But look, you put deep learning here, you put educational aim here, you put the transition from. It's like you're talking about different. Maybe they are related, but in this context, they are really separate. Indeed, it has become. Then indeed, it's you yourself, Farhan Brohak. Indeed, it has become a modern expectation for today's students to be critical thinkers. Come on. فهمت أنا. Indeed, because when you say indeed, that's if you are providing a solution to something. It doesn't fit here. Rather than passive, okay, autonomous, then okay, another concept. Rather than passive consumers of knowledge. Whoa, another thing. As a result, خلطة جت عندها result. This also defies previous learning theories such behaviorism. Oh my God, you killed yourself. ما مشيناش كاع behaviorism. ما مشي غير هنا نحكوا على modern ones which deemed as no. This is a complete failure. Too many concepts, all put in one introduction. I don't see any coherence here, so I wouldn't advise to write something like this. Introduction number two. The late 19th century witnessed the emergence of numerous and diverse theories of language learning that mainly focused on how learning as an ongoing process can be effectively and efficiently achieved. It can be effective and efficient. Okay, so far this is good. I like it. Yet, each theory was built upon different view and approach through which they are complementary related. هنا اللي راك حافظها and you took it from something else, but here you are criticizing the approaches and methods themselves. However, language learning urged the need to keep pace with 21st century changes. How manage? and the occurred circumstances, like as well as learners' needs as learning requirements. The style is really bad. When I read it, I don't feel that I'm reading smoothly. All the aforementioned constitute a real challenge on generating lifelong skills. Why? Which consist in critical thinking. It feels you have understood the question, but your language failed you. Like literally, the language failed you. It's you are going to the same direction I took, but there is a huge problem. Learning a second language is long and a complex undertaking. We agree on this. In this process, the learner is wholly affected as he, ما كانش she, beyond his, ما كانش he, she, her native language and into a new culture, a new way of thinking, feeling and acting. Nevertheless, it must be noted that the field of language teaching and learning has been constantly changing due to the rise of new approaches, methods, and techniques. Trust me, up to now we didn't talk about the subject. This shift, where is it? You said, okay, mainly due to the new requirement 21st century era. Thus, learners are required to think critically, work collaboratively, and be creative, achieve proficiency. However, the aforementioned language skills came to challenge the previous one at different levels. How? This essay is an endeavor to shed light on the emerged perspective. Yeah. I don't know when are you going to answer. You talked a lot, repeating. The three sentences at the beginning, no, I didn't like them. Like really, I didn't like them. So even this way, it's not. In the 21st century, the rapid advancement of technology and globalization has led to a shift in the skills and knowledge required for success. Amazing. This one is I really, really, really loved. Among these new requirements are critical thinking, technological literacy, collaboration, and creativity. Wow, which have been identified as essential 21st century learning skills. The one who wrote this, you rock. While these skills are important for navigating the modern world, they also represent a challenge to traditional theories of language learning. It's way better than mine. Many traditional approaches to language education have focused on the acquisition of grammar and vocabulary, with little emphasis on development of higher order thinking skills. Amazing. However, the increased demand for multilingual, tech-savvy, and adaptable individuals has led to a reconsideration of the goals and methods of language education. In this essay, we will explore the extent to which these new learning skills represent a real challenge to previous theories of language learning and how they can be integrated into language education. It's amazing. The way I spoke, this person made it way better. The language is amazing. The style, the how ideas are connected. Wow, I say this is the best one. Introduction number 5. It's widely recognized that 21st century goes through various shifts. Okay, immediately. The teaching learning context. A shift attached immediately. How immediately? Didn't get it. Teaching learning context. As such, the letter requires a focal emphasis on prerequisites, perspective to meet the needs of teachers and learners as two foundation stones of education field. It seems you're talking about teachers and learners. I don't get it here, like really. Therefore, the rise and fall of certain notions, milieu of teaching, learning, English language due to the mandatory change could lead theorists to look for other skills. It feels the answer is there. But because you want to talk more, it's like you are taking a long road. Just you don't want to answer the question, and at the same time you want just to touch it. I know, but this is not the good way. The good way is you touch the answer and you talk about it. Teaching learning process in the 21st century is the crucial factor. The crucial factor, whoa, that educators should be cared about, should be cared about. Our world is changing because our world is changing. And in order to prepare our learners for this new, Manette has the language is not really formal. I feel the language is not formal. Learners for this new word, we, تخل. Always when you talk, don't involve yourself. Talk about learners. We, احنا مازال learners, we need to change the way we educate them. We change the way we educate. All right. In the 21st century, educators must create a curriculum that will help students connect with the world. This may be a subject of development. Maybe if you want to talk about it, let's say, for example, the challenge is how can we incorporate these elements into education by minding several aspects from the curriculum, etc., etc. Maybe you can do this. That's our word face. Schools and education become the most important place, a place for teachers and students to connect with the technology and develop an. Is this an introduction or someone speaking? It doesn't feel like an introduction. It feels like just someone is saying things. No. For most important skills and students, no. I really didn't feel that you are really talking in a formal way. So to me, there is something missing, like a lot. So if I'm going to talk, if I'm going to speak here, I'm going to say that introduction number 4 is the best introduction so far because there are several introductions that I haven't yet talked about. But this introduction is amazing, and I would like to congratulate the one who wrote this. Thank you so much for sharing. I know this is something really big effort to share. So this is this is the video today. This is what I wanted to talk about. And inshallah, in the upcoming video, I'm going to evaluate more essays. And of course, I'm going to have more live videos, inshallah, in the future. So thank you so much and see you, inshallah, next video. Goodbye.